The Night Witches of World War II. October in Russian history carries a certain legendary weight, and October 1941 stands apart. After 4 brutal months of war, with nearly 3 million soldiers lost, an unexpected movement began inside the Soviet Union. Women across the nation demanded the right to fight for the fatherland. Yes, unlike many nations that speak of a motherland, Russians traditionally call their homeland the fatherland. Initially, military leaders dismissed these appeals, insisting war was a man's domain. But one remarkable woman changed that narrative forever. Marina Raskova, the woman who knocked on Stalin's door. One October morning in 1941, Captain Marina Raskova, a pilot and navigator, walked straight into Stalin's office. A junior officer meeting the Soviet leader directly, when even Air Force chiefs required appointments, was extraordinary. But Raskova was no ordinary pilot. In 1938, she had taken part in a daring non-stop long-distance flight with 2 other women. Attempting to set a new world record, their aircraft ran out of fuel after flying 6,450 kilometers. Forced to parachute, Raskova was separated from her crew and wandered alone in the frozen wilderness for 10 days before rescue teams found her alive. Her courage made her a national hero, and all 3 women were awarded the title Hero of the Soviet Union. That fame gave Raskova unique access to Stalin, and she used it to make a bold request. I believe we should form all-female air regiments and give women the chance to fight. No military in the world had attempted such a thing. While some countries had women pilots, they were mostly symbolic figures, not combatants. Yet Stalin agreed. Orders were issued to establish 3 female air regiments, with Raskova in charge. Recruitment and skepticism. A nationwide call went out. Young women aged 17 to 25 were invited to join. Thousands lined up. Raskova herself interviewed and selected candidates, placing the rest on waiting lists. But when the new units arrived at forward air bases, the male pilots scoffed. The women wore oversized men's uniforms and caps, making them look, as one airman sneered, like schoolgirls playing soldier. They wouldn't be laughing for long. 3 regiments, 1 legend. The Soviet Union had 3 all-female aviation regiments. 586th Fighter Aviation Regiment, tasked with intercepting German bombers. 587th Bomber Aviation
Over the shores of Kent
assigned
they came.
daylight bombing
Over the
raids.
beaches of Sussex and the flats of the Thames
588th
estuary.
Night Bomber
100,
Regiment, dedicated
150,
to night missions.
200 at a time,
It was the
with their cargoes of bomb and
588th
fire,
Regiment
and their
that would
fighter
etch itself
escorts
into
massed
history.
around them.
Over the course of the war, the 3 regiments flew an astonishing 24,000 missions. Of those, 23,000 were carried out by the 588th alone. The women flew fragile, slow, wooden canvas biplanes that carried only 2 bombs at a time. To evade German anti-aircraft guns, they would cut their engines near targets, glide silently in the dark, drop their bombs, then restart and escape. The Germans began to dread these nocturnal attackers.
These
so much
raiders were
that
the
they
elite
gave them
of
a
the German Air Force, groomed
Die
for
Nachwechsel,
victory.
the Night
Their
Witches.
Heinkels had thundered over
One
Poland.
German
Their
officer
Dorniers
later
had
said,
blasted Holland.
Stalin has
Their
sent us
Stukas
witches
had
from
shattered
hell.
the army of
They
France.
come in the night, and we can do
Only
nothing to
Britain
stop
remained.
them. The
Today, her
name stuck,
seaports would
and
lie in
soon the
ruins.
legend spread even to
Tomorrow,
Western
Birmingham,
media.
Coventry,
Allied
and the
intelligence
smoky towns of
intercepts
Lancashire.
frequently mentioned.
Within a week,
Decades
London
later,
itself would
the
be a
Daily
heap of
Mail
brick
in the
and
UK
rubble.
would publish a tribute with colorized photographs of these extraordinary women, proof of their enduring global impact. Sacrifice and heroism. The missions were relentless. In their first year, each pilot and navigator flew up to 15 sorties per night. In later years, that number rose to 18 or even 20. Inevitably, some were shot down. More than 24 women from the regiment were killed in action. Raskova herself flew few missions, as she was responsible for command, training, and recruitment. But in January 1943, she too took to the skis on a combat mission near Stalingrad. Her plane crashed and she was killed. She was just 30 years old. Her death was a national tragedy. Stalin ordered her to be buried with full honors in the Kremlin wall, an honor denied to many Soviet marshals and admirals. a legacy written in the skis. Reskova received the Order of Lenin twice, and Soviet postage stamps were issued in her name. In 2012, on the centenary of her birth, President Vladimir Putin ordered a commemorative stamp once again. Streets, squares, and military schools across Russia bear her name. Countless films, documentaries, and books continue to celebrate her story. The Night Witches were more than just aviators. They were a symbol of resilience, daring, and the refusal to accept limits. At a time when the world dismissed women as spectators in war, these young pilots proved they could be warriors too. Their broomsticks were biplanes, their spells were bombs, and their legend still flies in the night sky of history.